everyone, and welcome to Reconcilable Differences. I'm Phillip George Jr.
I am Paul Smith with On the Move team.
On the Move team, yep. We're on the Move team at eXp Realty, and today's topic, how to win friends and influence people.
Now, it's the book. We're going to talk about the book.
We're talking about the book.
Okay.
We're talking about
and
the
the
book.
application of
And
what's
maybe a little
discussed
bit.
in the
Yeah,
book.
maybe a little bit. So if you're in sales, I highly recommend that you read this book. It's about human nature, honestly. And if you're in a people business, which we are in, then absolutely you want to read this book.
I have another comment to make about that. Okay.
Okay.
You especially need to read this book if you have no friends. Okay. If you have no, first off, if you have no friends, that's boring. All right. You don't have anybody that's friends to you, that wants to hang around with you. There's a reason, and this book can resolve that.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you something else. It's not just sales, okay? As Paul says, if you don't have friends, then obviously it might help you with that. But it really can help you in every walk of life, in every profession, in everything you're doing. And in fact, the book goes into giving a lot of examples of real world applications of these principles. So I think again, it's a great read for just
Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, Dale Carnegie.
Dale Carnegie.
Yeah, that's
Andrew
right.
Carnegie was the other rich guy.
Probably, yeah. I don't know if Dale was rich, actually. But do you know that the book was based on a 14-week course on human relations and public speaking?
When was that, like in 1912?
Correct. So before he wrote the book,
Was it that?
Yeah, it's a long time ago. Yeah,
Okay.
1936 is when the book was first released. So this 14-week course was before that. So, and it was pretty neat, actually, reading back about it.
Do you not agree that we have been involved with business people over the years? The one that immediately popped into my head was Jim Weichert.
Okay.
Okay, because Jim Weichert, one of his values in his company, and I was a franchisee with them for a period of time, was people buy people before they buy your goods and services.
And I absolutely believe that.
Yeah, and I
really
believe it too. And I swear Jim Weichert stole that from Dale Carnegie and that course in this book.
I think it helped me a lot, and really it's about human nature and how people respond.
Have you read the whole book?
I read it all. And I'll tell you something else. It is, I'm going to talk about the 4 parts, okay? But first, let me say this. In 1981, they revised it. So I haven't read the previous revisions, I guess, but they revised it to remove effective business lessons and improving marital status. So I
didn't know that.
Yeah, so he really had, just a comprehensive overview about how to improve your relationships with
They're
other
trying to
people.
bring it into the 21st century.
That's right. The book is 4 parts, okay, 4 parts. The first part is techniques in handling people, right? The second part is 6 ways to make people like you. The third one is how to win people to your way of thinking. Obviously, that's important in negotiations, And number 4, be a leader. Those are the 4 parts. Now,
Lead by example.
There's principles or techniques in each level to show you how to use that. Also, examples. One of the things that I tell people when you're doing sales is if you listen to people, they will tell you how to add value to them, to your service, to their transaction, for example. This book really shows you how to listen to people and then how to help the process alone with negotiating, with giving them one of the things is give them a spectacular reputation to stand up to, right? So there's ways to utilize these techniques to get the best out of people and out of a situation.
I was just thinking, I need to read. I've read this book before, but it's been a long time since I read. I read this book when I first got into real estate.
Did you really?
And I was in sales before. I never even knew about the book before then, to tell you the truth. So I think I need to pull this book again. And do libraries still exist, by the way?
I think I have a copy for you.
Okay, you have a copy for me? Because I used to I've given all my copies out.
It's a fantastic book, like I said, great for sales.
You're not going to give me a copy that's highlighted and underlined and all that stuff, are you?
Probably.
I don't want that.
Okay, we'll get you.
We'll get me a new one.
We'll get you a new one.
I'll go to the library.
So it starts off with the very first thing: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. That's one of the very first things you learn in the book.
Yeah.
Because again, when you criticize somebody or you condemn them, they're not hearing how to improve.
Is that kind of like when
they just put on their defenses?
When you mentioned that somebody forgot to plug the microphone in?
I say you probably don't want to do that often, just keep pointing it out, for example. That's an internal joke. You want to talk in terms of other people's interests and talk about your own mistakes before you talk about anybody else's. I think that those are all good things.
Let me think and see if I can remember one. Yeah. Joking, by the way. Yeah. Yeah. Don't we have to also first learn to laugh at ourselves?
I think so. I think that's a good thing to say.
It's like how many times have we talked to an agent and an agent tells you about something that they've done, and it's like they think it's like the end of the world.
Yeah.
Like the world is coming to an end.
It's okay.
And it's like, yeah. Hey, I remember doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's no big deal.
You can survive this. We can work through it.
Yeah.
But it really does help you communicate and understand people's motivations. I mean, it really is. I think you talked about this before about peering behind the curtain, seeing how the donuts are made. It really gives you insight into human nature and honestly, what motivates them to do certain things.
All right. So I have to. I apologize. I'm not criticizing, but I
feel like there's some criticism.
I need to clarify what you just said about when you mentioned making the donuts and looking behind the curtain.
Yeah, seeing how things are done. Yeah.
Okay, so you do realize you're sitting with a graduate of Dunkin' Donuts University, first off.
Okay.
Okay, it's a fact. It's a fact.
Okay.
Okay, we didn't make...
They may have changed those.
We didn't make... No. Well, actually, they may have, but we did not make donuts behind a curtain.
Okay.
In fact, our prep area and baking area, you could stand at the counter to order something to go, and there was glass right there where you could look in and see everything that was going on in the kitchen.
Well, the one by my house is in a gas station, and you can't see them.
No, because they deliver stuff done. They probably deliver stuff done.
I got you. You mentioned the satellite.
And that's the way Dunkin' Donuts wanted it to be, because they wanted to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Say, like, look how this good stuff gets made.
Hey, we're transparent.
Meaning we're straightforward and honest.
In our business. Not that you can see through us.
You can't see through us.
No, in fact, on the Move team, me and Paul, we do our business that way. And EXP is very transparent as well. So if you're thinking about, joining a team or a company, we'd love to talk to you about it.
EXP, that's another
thing. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah. But How to Win Friends and Influence People is a timeless book. Dale Carnegie was onto something, first released in 1936. And it's just, like I said, if you haven't read it, read it. Even if you're not in sales, read it. It's just a great book. It really is.
I mean, it'll change your life in terms of how you deal with other people. It'll help you understand yourself too a little bit.
I think you're right about that.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, that's what I got out of it. Like, well, hey, I'm kind of like that, or I'm not like that, and maybe that's why this doesn't work.
One of the principles is be genuinely interested in other people. If you want to be thought of as being an interesting person, be interested in the other person. Listen to them, talk about them, and they'll go away from there and tell people that you're interesting, that you're good to be around because you made them feel good about themselves. You listen to them. It's so much insight like that, like stuff like that. You just, you go about your day to day and you don't realize this, but it's again, human nature. Of course, we're going to have more info about this book and maybe even a link in the description of where you can go get the book. I highly recommend it. You
can get it at the library.
I'm going to have to get Paul another copy. I cannot recommend it enough. Like I said, we don't recommend products or things lightly. It's something that we feel strongly about. And I think you told me about this book originally, and
I gave you this book.
You gave me the one that I highlighted.
There was a period of time, and maybe we need to go back to this, that we would
Just
hire new agents, and I would give it to them.
Yeah.
And I I didn't necessarily give it to them because with the following.
Yeah.
I'd say, hey, you have no friends, read this.
That's funny.
Although that would be funny.
That may be the way they took some of it. I don't know,
Maybe that does have a direct correlation to agent population on your team.
It could. It absolutely could. Well, I tell people I can teach you how to do real estate. I can't teach you to have a personality. Can teach you how people are. And like I said, you see a little bit of how human nature is, and that will change a little bit in you if you believe it, if you actually work through the principles. It actually has sections in the book that you gave me where you can actually write down things, and you're supposed to go out and each stage of it, each technique, try it to implement it into your day-to-day.
Yeah. I wonder how many individuals have read this book and then spun off other books because they've taken a little tidbit from some chapter in this and turned it into something totally different. Or they elaborated on a a technique or a feeling or a philosophy.
I bet there's a lot of those
I
out
bet there
there.
was.
And I think there's a lot of sales books in general will probably tap onto these basic concepts. They really do. It's a great book.
It's a timeless book too.
It is.
So so we're going to add information in the description. Thank you for mentioning that. And if you don't have anything else to add, I just want to say remember to like, subscribe and comment about reconcilable differences. We want to hear from you folks. And please, good selling.